Good evening, campers. It is me, Kieran. Once every quarter, the glampers over at Plek can dictate what book I am to read, and that was The Stand. Before we get into The Stand, here is a TLDR of how I felt about it. This goddamn book. I mean, I was doing myself a disservice from the off. This is my first ever Stephen King, and would people ever recommend reading the over 1,000 page The Stand as their first book? Absolutely not. Additionally, if you were given the option to read a shorter or a longer version of The Stand, you probably would choose the shorter one, wouldn't you? Can you guess that I didn't know this information, and the only one they had at the library was the revised version, where Stephen King added more than 400 pages onto The Stand. So the original copy came out in 78, and in 1990 we have the complete Stand. King does mention in the preface that you don't have to read both, and if you've only read the 78 version, you don't have to read the 1990s version. Nothing in those 400 pages change or progress the plot. It is more minor details, and that he shifts the entire narrative of the story by a decade. And after 400 pages of revision, The Stand is, to date, Stephen King's longest novel, beating it by 30 pages, I believe. The Stand, at least in this version, is set in 1990s, where we follow Captain Trips, which isn't a superhero, it's a virus. I don't even think Stephen King could have foreseen that in 2022, reading about a pandemic virus that sweeps across America would be quite accurate. Yes, this contagion Captain Trips is a contagion and wipes out on apocalyptic levels globally the population of the Earth in only a few weeks. While that might feel rapid, Stephen King's writing process is drastically slow. 247 pages. By God, yes, I counted it. 247 pages are introducing character. And let's talk about like the three main ones in this. Don't get me started about the end. We have Larry Underwood, who is a singer who everyone seems to own his CD. We have Franny, who has got pregnant, and we see that pregnancy is really the timescale of this novel, from the conception to the birth. What's going to happen within that time, and what ultimately is going to happen to the bairn. We also have Stu Redmond, that for some unbeknownst reason is completely immune to Captain Trips. King has gone on the record to say that this was the most difficult book of his to write, just for the sheer number of people and storylines that he is trying to weave around this. However, the vast cast do one of three things within The Stand. The first one being walking. Holy Moses split the Red Sea. Does Stephen King like walking around America? And if you dare go on a motorcycle, Stephen King will have his comeuppance for you. If someone told me that there was a conspiracy that Bill Bryson had begun writing half of this novel, I'd probably believe it. After all that walking, they probably get very tired, which means they're probably doing number two. They are dreaming. The dreaming is where the supernatural horror, I think, is meant to begin, but this wasn't frightening. This wasn't like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. There are some gruesome moments, but they didn't make me go, and that's not to be confused with the Welsh. Two very different letters. The dreams are going to focus on two people. We have bad man, Randall Flagg. He's bad. He's really, really bad. He's so bad that he's a bad man. Or you could have Mother Abigail, and she's good. She's good. She's really, really good. She's a goody-goody two-shoes. She could play the good wife. And so these people who do a lot of walking end up going to these two people, the good side or the bad side. Because one's good and the other's bad. What? I can't believe what number three is. Well, if they're not walking and if they're not sleeping, they're dead. They're dying. The amount of times Stephen King will be like, oh, and this person touched this other shoulder. They coughed and then they died. And then three other people behind them. Well, guess what? They died as well. Everyone fucking dies. Hark the Herald Angels sing. Stephen King bloody revised this. He added 400 pages, but he did not decide. Oh my god, why? Why didn't he do it? Why didn't he revise the ending of Randall Flagg, the very, very, very bad man, where there's a pyromaniac called Trash Can Man, and everything's kind of building up to this moment, and everything's really going bad, and then Trash Can Man brings in a fucking nuclear warhead, and everyone's like, "Well, that's really bad. They'll scupper everything up here." And then we see, oh no! And then we have lightning that looks like the hand of God come down, strike it, and just blows everyone up. Oh no! Oh my god! It is 1,000 pages. 1,000 pages! 1,000 pages! 1,000 pages was like the most ultimate get-out clause that you could ever bloody imagine. The bed's fine at the end, and then Ralph Flaggy wakes up. He's in a jungle. What on earth was this novel? I'm so lost how people are like, this is Stephen King's greatest work. If this is his greatest work, where does Shawshank Redemption fit on it? I haven't even seen the film. You know what? Stephen King is a workaholic with a fiction addiction. Oh, remember when ERB was good? And don't even get me started on ERB. They really lost the train of thought. I'm losing the train of thought here. I can imagine that for Stephen King, with this like immense output, that he's going to have some flops. And I'd be open to reading Stephen King again. Don't think that I wouldn't be interested in reading Stephen King. The Stand. The Stand. Why was there nuclear? Why?